Okay, then I'll just talk about the economic and business cycle today, asset class rotation again. But the idea that I want to tell you is today, we live in what we call a fractional banking system. What does that mean? Today, if you have $1,000 and you put it in the bank, basically the bank will take your money and then they will give you usually a passbook or a statement that you have $1,000 with us, right? Now, you know what the bank does with your money, right? They usually lend it out. Now, imagine they lend it to a business owner and he wanted to borrow $800. Now, let's say he lent out $800 to a business owner. And assuming he went to buy business supplies from someone else. Okay? So he actually spent $500 to a supplier to buy the business supplies that he needs to set up his business. And that $500 is now cash to the supplier. Okay? The supplier also uses the same $500 to deposit into the bank. And so now it's reflected for the supplier that he has a deposit account with $500 of balance. And the supplier decides to also expand his own business by taking a loan of $300 from the bank. So today, the bank also loaned out $300 to supplier, and so the supplier now has deposit account of $500 and cash means the $300 of loan from the bank. Okay, so the whole money supply has actually grown because we live in such a world where even if you put your money in the bank and the bank lend it out, you have not lost your $1,000. But other people have more money by borrowing from the bank. So this is what I call a fractional banking system today, where the money supply in a country today, in most modern countries, can actually grow and shrink over time because of this system. The first guy here, you earn $1,000 as your income. At the same time, because you earn $1,000, let's say the bank is willing to lend you $100, right? Let's say you sign up for a credit card. And now, your total spending is $1,001, means this is the potential amount that you can spend in total on for one person. And don't forget, one man's spending is another man's income, right? If one person can spend more, that means another person's income can earn more. And that person, because his income is $1,100, the bank is willing to lend him again 10% of what he earns. And when you borrow more, your total spending is also more. And that's how cycles are being reinforced. Now, what happens when your credit goes up faster than the amount of goods and services that the economy can produce, right? Because in any economy, there's always a limit to how much goods and services you can produce, where goods and services is actually determined by three inputs: people, technology, capital, right? There are natural limits to those. And when that happens, that means one unit of goods or service must be divided by a larger number of base, and that means the goods and services will go up in price. Because there's only so much I can produce, but yet there's so much money floating around. So this is what we create a phenomenon, what we call inflation. And when inflation happens, the central bank don't like that, and that's how they control interest rates to make it more expensive, and now it's now more expensive for people to borrow. Okay? And once you make it expensive to people to borrow, the rate of growth for credit will tend to slow down, right? Because it's now more expensive to borrow. And therefore, when things slow down, that means people's income also slow down. Now, actually, if you look at borrowing, so a lot of things is not made possible if you don't have credit. Okay, but one, because there's a banking system, it actually allows people to borrow, consume future income, and then the economy can grow. But the problem with that is when you borrow, you're actually borrowing from a future self. But the point is, when you borrow more, at some point in time, you will have to pay back. The temporary boost will actually need to be offset in future, and that's how cycles are created over time. Now, and if you talk about cycles, then this is a typical business cycle that you see. Usually there is a recovery phase. Let's start from a recovery phase. Let's say an expansion phase where everyone starts borrowing, and this is when the economic growth starts to expand. And this is what I call the early to mid stage. What causes it to slow or end, or the current cycle to end, is people borrow too much, or people build too much goods and services to the extent that demand is overestimated, and whatever that you borrowed or bought cannot be sold, and that's when people start to shrink. Basically, profit growth slows down or declines, and this is actually introduces a late or recessionary contraction of the economy over time. And that also means because of different parts of the cycles, certain industry tend to do better in certain parts of the cycle.